history adventurers, grab a comfy seat, maybe a snack and settle in, because it's story time with the shiny one. I'm your host, Mr. J, and today we're diving into the thrilling chapter of American history, a time when sparks weren't just flying, they ignited a whole new way of life. Imagine, if you will, America in the mid-1800s. It's a vast land, still largely rural. Most people live on farms or in small towns. Transportation is slow. A horse and buggy might get you 10 or 15 miles a day. News travels even slower, carried by letter or word of mouth. Life is tough, physically demanding, and often quite isolated. If you needed a new tool, it was often made by the local blacksmith, one at a time. If you wanted light after sunset, it was candles or oil lamps flickering faintly in the darkness. But beneath the surface, something incredible was bubbling. Whispers of new ideas and new ways of doing things were starting to grow into a roar. Our story begins with a metal. For centuries, iron had been king. It built our plows, our tools, and our cannons. But iron had a weakness. It was brittle. If you bent it too far, it snapped. And making it was a slow, expensive process. But then, brilliant minds like Henry Bessemer across the ocean in England figured out how to revolutionize iron into something far superior: steel. Think of it like this. If iron was a sturdy, but somewhat inflexible wooden ruler, steel was a strong, bendable, incredibly durable piece of modern plastic. The secret? Blasting air through molten iron to burn out the impurities and just add the right amount of carbon. This made steel unbelievably strong, yet flexible, and crucially, it could be mass-produced, meaning it was cheaper to make in huge quantities than ever before. Suddenly, engineers and builders looked at the world with new eyes. No longer limited by brittle iron, they can dream bigger. And what was the biggest dream of the mid-19th century? Connecting a continent. With cheap, strong steel readily available, America embarked on one of the most ambitious construction projects in human history: the railroad boom. Imagine tens of thousands of miles of steel rails snaking across the plains, through mountains, and over rivers. This just wasn't about laying track. It was about laying the very veins of a new nation. Before railroads, transporting goods was a nightmare. A farmer might grow a huge crop, but if there wasn't a river nearby, getting it to a distant market was nearly impossible. Prices would plummet locally, while people starved elsewhere. But trains could carry massive amounts of goods: grain, lumber, coal, and manufactured products, much faster and cheaper than ever before. This meant goods could travel from one end of the country to the other, creating a truly national market. Suddenly, a factory in Pittsburgh could sell its goods in San Francisco, and a farmer in Kansas could get his wheat to New York City. This wasn't just an economic change. It was a social revolution. People could travel further for work, for family, or just plain adventure. Towns sprang up all along the rail lines, transforming tiny settlements into bustling cities. The railroad became a symbol of progress, a roaring, smoke-billowing iron horse pulling America into the future. It literally shrunk vast distances of the continent, making people feel more connected than ever before. But while steel built the skeleton of this new America, two other incredible forces would provide its lifeblood and its nervous system: oil and electricity. For centuries, people used whale oil for lighting. Yes, actual whales. It was expensive, smelly, and dangerous. Then, in 1859, Edwin Drake drilled the first successful oil well in Titusville, Pennsylvania. It was a messy, oily breakthrough that changed everything. Petroleum or crude oil, could be refined into kerosene, a much cleaner, brighter, and cheaper fuel for lamps. Suddenly, homes and businesses could be brightly lit, extending the workday and allowing for evening activities and study. But oil was more than just a lamp fuel. It quickly became the lubricant for all new machinery powering factories, making everything run smoother and more efficiently. And eventually, it would fuel the internal combustion engine, paving the way for automobiles and airplanes. But that's a story for another time. Then, there was electricity. Oh, electricity. It was a force that scientists had tinkered with for decades. But it wasn't until the late 19th century that inventors like Thomas Edison and Nikola Tesla figured out how to harness it for widespread practical use. Imagine a world where all of your light came from candles or gas, and then suddenly, with the flip of a switch, a glowing bulb illuminated the room. It was nothing short of magic. Electricity revolutionized communications. The telegraph, using electric signals over wires, could send messages across vast distances in minutes, not weeks. Think of it as the 1800s version of the text message. News could travel almost instantly, like Twitter. And then a few years later, Alexander Graham Bell perfected the telephone. Think about the first telephone call, the sheer wonder of hearing someone's voice from miles away. These inventions knitted a nation together, making communication instant and personal. Electricity also powered factories with cleaner, more flexible energy than steam. It led to the development of new appliances that would eventually transform homes. It literally brought light and energy to every corner of American life. With cheap steel, abundant oil, and versatile electricity, the stage was set for an explosion of creativity. It was truly an age of invention, a time where new ideas seemed to sprout up everywhere, changing American lives at a dizzying pace. Think about it. The light bulb meant factories could operate 24 hours a day, and people could read and socialize long into the night. The washing machine began to free up hours of back-breaking labor for women, changing the dynamics of home life. The phonograph meant people could listen to recorded music in their own homes, creating a whole new entertainment industry. The typewriter transformed office work, making communication faster and more formal. The camera brought visual storytelling and personal memories into focus for everyone. These weren't just isolated inventions, they were pieces of a giant puzzle, fitting together to create a more interconnected, productive, and comfortable society. They created entirely new industries, new jobs, and new ways for people to live, work, and play. The landscape of America was literally being reshaped, not just by steel and concrete, but by the invisible currents of electricity and boundless energy of human ingenuity. This period was a testament to human innovation, the drive to solve problems, to make life easier, and to push the boundaries of what was possible. It was a spark that ignited a new kind of America, one that was buzzing with energy, connected by rails and wires, and constantly reinventing itself. And that, history adventurers, is the story of how breakthroughs in steel, oil, electricity, and a flood of inventions transformed a mostly rural nation into an industrial powerhouse, connecting people, ideas, and goods like never before. It was truly a time when America found its shine, much like my own. Well, you know. Thanks for joining me on Storytime with the Shiny One. Keep those curious minds buzzing, and I'll catch you the next time for another incredible journey into the past.